this has been a very tough time for so many restaurants. They are struggling to stay afloat, but it has not stopped the progress of one restaurant that I am so looking forward to opening here in our area, the Sylvan Table. And with us now is going to be Gadukla and Kristina Pruccoli?
Pruccoli.
Pruccoli.
Yes.
Did you used to do yoga over at Lifetime?
Yes, I did.
I thought I recognized your name. You're the farm manager over there at the Sylvan Table. It's great to have you both with us.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
So I pass by it so often on the trail, and I've been seeing the progress. Where do things stand right now?
So we are about a little under a month from construction completion. We're anticipating finishing construction and having the restaurant turned over to the management staff and myself around the beginning of March. From that point, it is just finishing certifications, standard health department inspections that are all required for pre-opening, and especially now with COVID, and ensuring that everything that we do is perfect and up to snuff. And then after that, we begin training our staff. We're going to do a 3-week pre-opening training to ensure that when we're open, everything is perfect, not just the service, but all of the protocols that have to be in place, as well as the food. Every piece of equipment will be tested, vetted, cleaned. And, that's something that in opening a lot of restaurants through my career isn't typically done. But we want to make sure that, because it's such a unique time, it's a unique situation, and the building is so spectacular, as well as the entire property, that nothing short of perfection is what we have when we open. So we're making sure we take our time. We're anticipating opening somewhere mid-May. We don't have a firm date yet. Obviously, everything is still waiting on construction. That's why we don't want to set anything, just in case something happens. Especially with delays in shipping or you name it. There are a lot of variables, but we feel that is a pretty accurate model for us right now to say, mid-May, we're going to be open. It'll be warm out. We'll be able to use the outside patio. People will be, coming in, and it'd be quite exciting. It's exciting right now, so.
Fingers crossed it'll be warm.
That's true.
In Michigan, we still don't know. But with that, Kristina, before I jump over to you, Chef Chris, I have to say, any hesitancy or change in plans because of COVID? Because obviously this was started and in progress long before COVID. But I remember the discussions, the planning, trying to get that piece of equipment or that piece of land rather there in Sylvan Lake. So what has changed because of COVID?
Yeah, so and you're right. The whole process is at least 3 years, if not longer right now. And in terms of restaurant-wise, obviously we're looking at what the restrictions are for COVID right now. Everybody's at 25%, with an anticipation somewhere in the beginning of May to be 50% indoor dining. That could or could not happen. That's going to depend, and we're ready for both. However, in lieu of that, our outdoor patio structure, all of the concrete is already built in with heated concrete. So we will have that at our capability. That will seat an additional 80 people, and outdoor dining has always been open. So we'll be able to use that 4 seasons round. We just have to put tenting over the top to make sure if it rains, people stay dry, because that's important. But because of the size of our property, we have 5 total acres, 2.5 dedicated to the restaurant and parking lot, and then 2.5 dedicated to the farm. We have plenty of room to continue seating outside and serve any guest that really wants to come in. So the precautions we're taking are pretty standard in lieu of the situation. We'll be able to appropriately socially distance everybody, and that will come in terms with the training that we're setting everybody up with. But our biggest things that we've seen have just been, delays in construction, ensuring that everybody is safe on property, social distancing on property. Everybody is doing everything according to what the health and safety standards are, and then just getting through the whole process. And that's really been the major things that we've seen. So just the standard delays and things like that. But the plan that the owners have put together has been nothing short of amazing and well thought out all the way through. So, I mean, we're anticipating obviously an impact from, the seating as we possibly aren't anticipating to open at 100%, but being a new restaurant and opening at 50% indoor and 100% outdoor is still beneficial for us, because how many restaurants have you been to that have opened and they say, don't go to a new restaurant, within 2 to 3 months of opening? It's because they're taking too many people. They're not doing a great job. The focus isn't there on, that guest service. Well, 50%, that's all we can focus on is our guest service and making sure everybody who comes in has an amazing time, is floored by the experience and just wants to come back. So, we'll be able to provide that. And so we're going to look at it as a benefit for us in terms of that.
It's a silver lining. It's just how we look at it. With Kristina, I love the concept of the farm to table. And there has been a big push already about local and buying local, but this is a bit different because the farm is right there. How will you pick what to grow and to utilize to get it from the farm to the restaurant?
Well, we're going to focus on seasonality. What's really great is collaboratively, Chris and I are working on to get what is the best in the peak of the season, and also to educate the community about what's available during these times, why we grow them at these times, because you could grow greens in the spring and they're going to taste very different from growing specific greens in the fall, and that's because of temperature. So it's a really great experience to offer learning to the community, and we'll work together in making interesting dishes that will come from fresh ingredients right from the farm. So it's being grown, washed, 50 more feet, and it's in the restaurant. 10 more feet, it's on your plate. So when you're talking about like a food system, that's a very small circle of impact. So our carbon footprint is minimized tremendously.
So is there any thought as well to maybe making some type of farmer's market at that area, like a small market, to utilize some of the crops that maybe aren't used in the restaurant?
I think potentially that is a possibility. Right now, we really want to focus on putting everything for the restaurant, and then as well as creating value added items, because we will have a little retail space. So anything that there is overage, we are going to process, whether it's going to be dehydrated or fermented. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity for the produce that I grow to get used fully. And if there is waste, we will have chickens on the farm to help navigate some of that, as well as increase some of our fertility on the farm as well. So we're really excited for this all kind of one organism system.
I'm excited. I'm selfish. I live in the neighborhood. So that's why I'm like, no, you need like a little farmer's market too. We can just walk there instead of going to Pontiac. So, Kristina, what's your background? How did you get into this?
I'm formally educated in fine arts and art education. And I was very fortunate to switch my career into health and wellness. And I mentored under she's a local farmer here actually in Detroit, Gwen Meyer. And for 5 years, I did urban farming with her in the city of Detroit, and kind of got my legs underneath me enough to go get 10 acres north of Flint, where I spent another 5-6 years learning to really farm in a full or larger scale. And I was fortunate enough to meet the Ryans and this project.
This is a great project. I really think it has the potential to reshape this entire area. We need restaurants and quality, great restaurants. And we have a few, Pepino's moved into the area after the fire at their other location, and it was going to be temporary. And here all the years later, they're still around because there is a big need right now. Instead of going all the way to Detroit, let's have some great restaurants right here. And so with that, Chris, as the executive chef, how do you start a menu? What is that process?
So actually, so I've been working on this. I've known about the project for just over a year now. And once I found out about the project, prior to even, interviewing or getting offered a position, I had already started working on potential menus, just ideas, because something like this is exciting. Once I met the Ryans, a lot of it was understanding what Tim and Nicole's vision was for the structure, the farm, the restaurant, what their goals were. And then from there, we put together a base menu, ideas of what we thought, what would be in season. And, the theory of this menu is going to change pretty frequently, but it's not going to be like a wholesale change where you come in one week and then the next week, the entire menu is different. Think of it more like a Ferris wheel where, the people on top of the Ferris wheel, if they attempt to get off, they're going to have a really bad day. But, everybody at the bottom, it's, you get one car off and then you put something new on, and then it goes a couple more cars and that'll come off and then something new will come on. And that's how we're going to treat the menu, because, on our whiteboards and on our planning boards, we'll know what's on deck to be harvested. We're going to know what's in peak selection, and we'll have tried it, tested, and come up with an idea that works with the season, works with the cultures that are in the Metro Detroit area. We're going to kind of draw from everywhere and find out what way to best present the produce that we're getting, the proteins that we're getting, to make those the star of the plate. And in turn, because of that, you'll constantly see something new on the menu, and something will come off until the next time it's available. The example I tend to use is cranberry harvest happens, for 1 to 2 weeks a year in the Sheboygan area. And that's it. So when that happens, we have to take advantage of that and get as many cranberries as we can use for the amount of time, and then they're gone until next year. You will not, unfortunately or fortunately, my view is fortunately, but you will not see a tomato on the menu in January. It's just the worst. There's no real flavor. They're watery. They're all of this. But you get into July, where you start getting the cherries and the grape tomatoes, and then you get into August, where that's where Michigan hits the peak tomato season in September, where, quite frankly, our tomatoes are the best in the world. That's when we'll have some phenomenal dishes that represent that. Or when pawpaw season happens in Michigan, we've got 3 weeks to present that. The opening menu that we're looking at now, we're going to open with ramps, Eastern fiddlehead ferns, morel mushrooms. They'll all be in peak season, and by 3 weeks later, they're gone. So we have to present those in such a way that capitalizes on the flavor, gives people an experience that they can't find really anywhere else, and does things in a way that's respectful to the environment, the food. It's sustainable. There's minimal waste, and everybody gets a phenomenal meal.
I'm so excited for the restaurant to open here, and it's going to be in our own backyard. Right now, though, so many restaurants are also struggling finding quality workers. Are you worried about that at all, especially with the type of food you're going to be serving?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a worry for me in prior incarnations too. In the restaurant industry, there's been a noted labor shortage or labor movement for the last 2 to 3 years. Year even before COVID. One of the things we are seeing now is the people that are coming to work tend to be loyal, more loyal, because this is their livelihood. They understand it. They have a passion for it. Some of the temporary workers that were using it for, temporary sustainability have moved on to other endeavors. So the workforce that we're getting is definitely more driven and more focused. We do have a concern about that, but we're starting our hiring process early. We already know the amount of staffing that we will require. I'm blessed to be able to work with the people, our owners, Kristina, my general manager, Steve Singleton. They are phenomenal people, and we know quite a lot. And I'm already getting interest in hourly associates coming to work, because it is such a unique project. Not only are we providing a great environment of pretty unique cooking styles. We're going to be live fire in the kitchen, so everything's going to be off of wood fires. But one day a week, my kitchen staff has the opportunity to go and work in the farm and educate themselves with Kristina, and that's not an experience that people can get somewhere else. And that education will help my associates in their future endeavors. It'll help make them smarter, more educated, and better chefs in the future. And that's exciting for me, because we want it to be obviously a functional kitchen, but we want it to be educational, that's one way we provide added value other than just, paying people well. It's, providing them with more, with that education, with experiences that they, won't possibly experience someplace else, but it'll give them value as they move on in their careers.
And what a work-life balance to have, one day you're in the kitchen and it's, a busy night. If you're in the food industry, you know what that's like. And then the next day you get to be out in the field or in the high tunnel, working with the earth and learning. So I think that's a really nice offering. I wish I would apply for a job like that.
One thing, because of COVID, we have seen there has been a lot more attention from the general public about where their food comes from. And with that, Kristina, you had mentioned that you were part of the urban farming movement in Detroit. And do you think that and all of the attention that Detroit has gotten with their urban farming attempts has really kind of helped fuel some of these projects?
Absolutely. I think, the pandemic has exposed and brought some light to things that people have not thought of before. And yes, they may think, oh, shop local as kind of a peripheral thing, but really the deeper lining of that, they're noticing when they can't get their shipments or their grocery store can't stock these things. And people are resourcing now from local farmers, which is great. And I mean, not only does it help support our smaller local community and our business like that, but it's also just regional eating for health and freshness. I mean, when you think about an apple, we have apples here in Michigan, but apples coming from Washington. So it's picked at a time when it shouldn't be picked, and then it's transported, and the hours and refrigerated truck and the energy and the gas and the carbon impact. And finally, when it gets to the grocery store, then it's sitting there waiting for the consumer to come and get. There's quite a lot that happens in a reduction of nutrient density to those things. And so now people are recognizing that now that they're eating more local, because they're like, oh, I can't get that from there. I'm going to supplement with this. And they're like, oh, this is actually really wonderful.
And organic is the way to go. Hey, Chef Chris, just another couple minutes here with you and Kristina before we have to let you go. I have to say, I've seen some of the videos of you on the Chef Clash in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Have you thought about your own TV show?
No. I mean, those, I'll be honest, those were a blast. And I look forward to, in the future doing stuff like that again. I would, I was honored to be invited for all the years that I was able to attend those. And I'm kind of humbled that you think I'm moderately okay enough to potentially do, TV for that. I'm kind of speechless right now.
I'll be your manager.
But no, thank you. But there's a lot of great chef talent in Detroit, and nationally it's just starting to get recognized by James Beard. It's not recognized yet by Michelin. I'm hoping that someday it does, but you're seeing more. I mean, we just got another Top Chef competitor. And she is outstanding. I'm looking forward to seeing how well she does. And you're seeing just a proliferation of amazing young talented chefs that have come from our local culinary schools, that have come just from their own experience and their drive to want to be better and provide more and just give the great hospitality. I'm just humbled to be part of it, and working with the same group of people and the same chef mentors that are with everybody else. But as for TV, maybe one day in the future,
We'll definitely be doing classes though.
Oh yeah.
We'll be doing culinary and agricultural workshop offering
out of restaurant,
yeah,
the whole deal. And I'm looking forward to it. So
See, because really all of these cooking shows, I mean, we have cooking channels 24/7. It has really helped spark a next generation. I mean, when you have kids that are 8, 9, 10 years old, they are amazing. And a lot of that has to do with the new attention from the cooking shows and feeling that passion.
When I started in the industry, if you could put an 8-ounce protein, some mixed vegetable, and a starch on a plate, you could be a chef and you got paid $35,000. If you had a foreign accent, you got paid $45,000. And then Food Network came out, and everybody, the general public that has never cooked a day in their life, they got interested in it, and they became so much more, intelligent with their selections, their choices, what food was what. You watch the diversity of the food that came into the Metro Detroit area. Let's face it, it was a big meat and potatoes town in the in the 80s, and still kind of weaning away from that in the 90s and early 2000s. And now you are looking at exceptional restaurants that are just vegan, that are just Hispanic oriented, that are just Asian influenced, and that was so spotty back then. And now, people are embracing it, and they know what's on their plate. And they, most of the time, the guests know more than what you know. And that's so exciting, because you have to really be on top of everything you're doing and make sure it's just perfect, because you just don't want to be inauthentic to any of your guests or any of your patrons.
Well, we're excited for you to open. If you ever need a taste tester, I'm just a few blocks away.
Oh, you will definitely be there, and we are looking forward to having you in.